you.
Okay, great to meet you. We're now talking to Tami Hart. Tami, I have a question. Can you give me some background on how you got started as a performer?
Oh, sure. I actually have been performing as as long as I can remember. I grew up in South Carolina, and when I was 5 or so, my mom put me in beauty pageants. So I was actually Little Miss Buford, South Carolina. I was a runner-up for Little Miss South Carolina. Obviously, it wasn't really me. I didn't like the femininity that I had to play up. I didn't like wearing the dresses. I didn't like wearing makeup or having my hair done. But my mom would, bribe me, say, you could go play t-ball if you do the pageant. What I did love about it was the performance part. Like, I got to do a song or an act, or I got to do a dance number. And when I got to do that, I knew what I wanted to do with my life. When I was in high school, I started teaching myself how to play guitar and drums and bass, and started bands, but I also realized I was a queer person in the Deep South. And I also was, not going to go to college. I came from a working class family. I had really bad grades. But I thought I will get out of here through my music. Kind of a delusional thought, but I was very determined. I worked really hard. I started writing my own songs at 16, and I started making demo tapes at that age and sending them out to independent record labels that I had read about. And at 17 years old, one of the labels wrote me back and said, "Your music is great. We'd love to put out your record." And it was a label by someone who was one of my musical heroes, Kaya Wilson from a band called Team Dresch, which were a very notable queer punk band. And that changed my life. I graduated high school, and that fall I was going on tour with bands like La Tigra, one of Kathleen Hanna's bands, and the Butchies and Sleater Kinney and the Indigo Girls, and my life completely changed.
What was it like to actually be touring with these acts that you admired?
It's funny. I often think about my high school bedroom wall. And on my high school bedroom wall, I shared my room with my sister up until I graduated and moved out of the house. My sister and I were very close. On my wall, I had posters of Sleater Kinney and Elliott Smith and Nirvana and Tri-Bait and Team Dresch. And I pretty much accomplished, meeting, playing with all of these people, or someone very closely connected to these people, or meeting someone very, and so it blew my mind, when I was 18 years old in the van with the Butchies, which was one of Kaya Wilson's bands after Team Dresch. I was like, I can't believe that this is my life. Is this really happening? Yeah, it was wild. It was very surreal because I was a kid.
And being like 17, being a teenager, was it like an effort to really try and stay grounded in the middle of all that?
No. No. My childhood was not ideal by any means, and I was looking for escape constantly. And I wanted to be like Kurt Cobain. I wanted to party and live life until, every last drop. And so I was wild. I got away with a lot for being underage. I definitely took advantage of like living life to the fullest at that time. Now I would say yes. I have a child. I have a 6-year-old. I have a wife. I have a job. I have all these responsibilities now. I took a pretty significant break from playing music, about a decade. And during that time, I put myself through college. I went to college in my 30s. I got married. I had a baby. Things changed. So now I'm way more grounded. But back then, no way. Yeah.
You mentioned all these, queer musicians that you grew up with, but now you look at artists like queer artists who are more accepted in that? Or I'm thinking of someone like Chapel Rowan, or
Oh, yeah.
who else? Nas X, Lil Nas X.
Oh yeah, or I'm very first of all, I'm a huge fan of Adrienne Lenker, but I'm also very in awe of her career and how accepted all of these queer singer-songwriters are now. Tammy Ray Carland, who was Kaya Wilson's partner and also ran Mr. Lady. And she was also one of Kathleen Hanna's best friends and really a mentor to the Riot Girl community. She was like a mom to me. I call her mom. And she said to me recently, it's hard to be formative. You know, it's like it's not an easy road because you're often forgotten, you know, and then you see all the, you know, it's like a new generation that has it a little bit easier because you did all this hard work. But I never thought of it that way because I was just a kid myself, so I was just pinching myself constantly.
I'm wondering if you yourself have heard from, other, not just queer musicians, but even queer kids from the South who said that, you were an inspiration to them or who went through some of the same things you did.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what got me to get back into this. That's what kept me going then. I would get letters from kids who were suicidal.
Oh, wow.
And then they heard my record, and it gave them courage to move out of, wherever they were, or, to just, have courage. And I still hear from people. Even a show I'm playing 2 days from now, I'm going back to the Carolinas to play a show. Someone made this beautiful note, and it made me weep. They were like, this person saved my life. And that does feel very good.
That does sound really good. What finally motivated you to return to performing after so long?
There's no easy way around this. It was kind of like a good old midlife crisis. I did all these things in my 30s that I wanted to prove to myself that I could do like any normal person, and then it didn't fulfill me, and I missed it, and I just think this is what I'm meant to do.
One more question. What advice would you have for young musicians today?
Oh, wow, yeah. Great question. First of all, if I was a young musician, I maybe wouldn't ask me. I would ask me, but I would ask for second opinions. I worked really hard to get signed to a record label, and things have changed, sure, but I do think that things are changing again to where having a really strong, determined work ethic on figuring out how to get signed goes a long way. Because I think in this late stage capitalism we're living in, people want to see that you want to work. So if you want to get signed, treat it like your job.
Okay, that sounds great.